Writing equations in slope-intercept form when given 2 points, 1 point and the slope, a graph. We have specials that go into this category, a table, word problems, or if we physically give you the slope and the y-intercept. So let's go ahead and start with the 2 points. Okay, so if I'm given 2 points, let's say I'm given 4, 2, and 6, 8. So it doesn't matter which one you label as x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. Doesn't really matter, it'll work itself out. So we're gonna do the slope formula. So the difference of the y's. So we have y2 minus y1, so 8 minus 2, divided by, so the 8's x was 6, our formula was subtraction, and x1 is 4. So 8 minus 2 is 6, and 6 minus 4 is 2, and if it's fully divisible, we are going to make our slope, divide it out and make our slope into a whole number. Okay, now we're supposed to be writing an equation in y equals mx plus b. So I have the m, and they were nice enough to give us 2 sets of x's and y's. So I have to actually calculate this. So if you're given 2 points, or if you're given 1 point in the slope, you'll do the same thing. Okay, so I have y equals mx plus b, and let's say that we use 6, 8. We'll use 6, 8 here. So 8 is the y, my m was 3, my x is 6, and then I'm going to say, what do I add to that in order to get 8? Well, this is 18. 6 times 3 is 18. I need to get to 8, so I actually need to subtract. So I'm going to add a negative number, and that would have to be a negative 10. The way you could do that is do 8 minus 18, and on the calculator we'll say negative 10. This is my b, so I've just calculated that. So what is the equation of this line? The equation of this line is y equals my slope of 3 times x minus 10. And this is the equation of the line that has these 2 points on it. Okay, so you're writing this. So x stays as x, y stays as y, and your m and your b need to be put into there as numbers. So what if, let's write a line down here so we have room. What if I was given the slope, but then I was given 1 point? Well, you're going to do the same thing that I just did. So this is an x, this is a y, and an m, and you're missing the b. So I'm going to put in negative 2 as my y. My slope is 3, multiplied by the x, which is 5, plus my b. So I'm solving for b. So this is 15 plus some number has to equal negative 2. So what I do to get b by itself is, this is already positive, so I make it negative to zero it out on this side, and what I do on one side, I do on the other. Well, this is negative 2 on the number line, and I go toward the negatives 15 more spaces. So I really add these two together and keep the sign. So my y-intercept is negative 17. So my slope was 3, they gave that to me. So my equation is y equals my m, which is 3, times the x, and then plus my b. Now it's minus, so that becomes my subtraction sign, so negative 17. And this is my equation if my slope was 3 and it had the 0.5 comma negative 2 on that line. Now you have some specials here, and these are those horizontal and vertical lines. So let's say they gave me the slope of 0 and they gave me a point. Well, I know that this is my x value and this is my y value. This is a horizontal line. When you have a slope of 0, it means it hasn't risen yet. It hasn't risen at all for the slope. So the slope is 0 is a horizontal line. When you have undefined or no slope, you have a vertical line. The equations for a horizontal line are always y equals, because if we look at this graph, if I have a horizontal line, they're always going through the y's, but they're not hitting the x's, right? So they're physically going across the y-axis. So that means that you are going to go through the point, the y. Okay, so you are going to have y equals, and wherever it crosses the y-axis, and in this case it's crossing at a 4, all of your x's are going to change, but your y will be 4. So on this particular line, if I am at y equals 4, I have -1, 4, -3, 4, 0, 4, 2, 4, and every y is 4. So my equation for a horizontal line, so if my line goes this direction, is y equals wherever it crosses the y-axis, and in this case, it's the 4. When it's undefined or no slope, that means we have a vertical line, so it's parallel with the y-axis. So we're going to do the same thing. The difference is this is going to be an x equals, because if you look at this vertical line, it's going to go through one x here, goes through x once, but all the y. So every x. So this is 3, 0, 3, 2, 3, -2. So all the y's are changing, but the x's along all of these points are all the same. So we're having x equals when they are vertical. So your line is vertical, and your x is going to be whatever the x value is here, and the x is 3. So this would be the equation of the vertical line for this point, and this is the equation for the horizontal line of this point. When the slope is 0, it's horizontal. Undefined or no slope is vertical, and it's x equals. So those are the specials. All right, let's go to a regular graph that has an angle, it has a slope to it. So I need to write my equation. And remember, you need 2 items. You need, let's go out a little bit, you need the slope and the y-intercept. So I need to figure out my m and my b. Well, my b is this guy right here. He's at 1, 2, 3. This is -3. And my slope, what I'm going to do is, if you have a graph where there aren't already points, you need to go up the graph until you find where it crosses the corner of the graph paper square. So this one did. If I go up, 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 ooh, here's one, right? Here's another one right here too. So I'm actually going to use these 2 right here. Okay, so my slope is going to be rise over run. Okay, so I'm rising 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I rose 7, and I ran 1, 2, 3, 4. But I went to the left 4. So my slope, this is a negative slope, so my slope is negative rise over run. Okay, and then I'm going to write y equals -7/4 x minus 3. Okay, now if you can't physically see it, you need, for the y-intercept, you would need to do what we did over here, where you find the slope on the graph, the rise over run. You use one of these points that you definitely know, and you plug it in for your x and y, and you solve like this for your b, if you cannot tell what this is. All right, table. Don't let the table be your enemy. So let's zoom in. Oops, sorry. Zoom in to our table of information. Ooh, there we go. So we're going to do something like what we did with the 2 points. We are going to, sorry, it's shaking. There we go. We're going to literally use 2 of these points, and we're going to do the slope formula because we need the slope. And you can either do what we did up here with calculating for the y-intercept, or you can take your values of your table down to where we need the 0 somewhere in there where x is 0. And I'll show you how to do that since I already showed you the other one above. Okay, so let's go ahead and take the 2 positive numbers. That way I don't have to do mine minus negatives. All right, so we do the difference of the y's, which is going to be 63 minus 15, divided by the difference of the x's. Okay, so use your calculator if you need to. Let's zoom out. All right, so we have, let's see, what did I say? 63 minus 15, that's 48, and 7 minus 5 is 2, and 48 divided by 2 is 24. So my slope, or my m, is 24. So this is my m. Okay, so I showed you above how to take this piece of information and one of these x's and y's and actually solve it for b. Now I'm going to show you is how to take the table down. So this is telling me that for every 1x, the y's go down 24 spaces. Okay, so I have 3 and -3 here. So if I need to get to 0, and they have 3 and -33 here, and I need to get this guy right here. Okay, how many sets of 1x, remember these were the x's and y's, 1x are there? There's 1, 2, 3 to get to 0. That means I need 3 sets of 24. So let's do 24 times 3, which is 72. Okay, so we're going to take -33, and we're going to subtract, since we added 24 to go this direction, for each one we're going to subtract to go this way. So now this is where those integers come in, so use your calculator if you're a little iffy on that. So we're at -33 on this 3, and we need to go down toward the negatives 72 spaces because we needed 3 sets of 24. So subtract 72, and we actually get -105. Okay, and that is correct because it's going to be basically adding them together and keeping the sign. So this means, this is my y-intercept, that when x is 0 and y has a value, that's my b. So this is my b. So my equation is going to be y equals my slope, which was 24, times the x, and this was -105, so we're going to use -105. And this is our equation for that information in the table, in slope-intercept. All right, so here we go with the word problem. So I made a word problem based on how many people can fit on each bus. Okay, and they like these kinds of word problems a lot. So I did not give you the information for how many kids were on the field trip because I want you to not have a value for y. So we have students are traveling to a field trip destination on 5 buses. 6 students are traveling in cars. How many students can fit on each bus? So what we have to look at is, what is the piece of information that is separate from the buses? So what this is saying is that there are 5 buses, and I need to find how many people are on each bus. So my x is representing the number of people on the bus, on each bus. So on one bus. My m is going to be the number of buses that we have, and my b is going to be people who are not on the bus. Okay, so we have y equals mx plus b. So b is the people not on the bus. So there were 6 students not on the bus because they were traveling in cars. There are 5 buses total, so that was my m, right? And my x is going to represent what I'm supposed to be finding, and my y is going to be the total amount of people who went on the field trip if they gave you that information. So let's put it in. So we have the total amount of people on the field trip, which we don't know, which is y. We have the 5 buses. How many students fit on each bus is our x. And the 6 kids, we have to add the 6 kids in who are on there. So we have the amount of kids who are on one bus times 5 buses plus 6 kids will equal the total amount of students going on the field trip. So when you solve it, you would subtract the 6 and then divide the 5 out, and you would figure out how many people are on each bus. But here's the equation for this information. Now, the last one, this is the easiest one. They gave you the slope and the y-intercept. Remember, this is your m, this is your b. Just put them in. Y equals -1/4 times the x minus 6, and you are done with that. That's the easier one. And that is how you write slope-intercept form when given all these things. And for functions, the only difference is you do everything here the same. The only difference is that the y would be f of x. So algebra students, that's your only difference on this video, is that instead of y, you would say f of x equals -1/4 x minus 6.